In this video, we are going to learn how to add an image with text overlay at the top of your business site. So at the end of this video, you're going to have an image header at the top of your business site that looks something like this, and it's going to have some text overlay. At the moment, this is how our business site looks like. We have set up two spaces, the external procurement and the goods movement space. Each of these spaces is then further divided into different pages. And within each page, there are different sections. And within each section, there are different applications assigned to it. Within the order processing page, we also have the section called as invoice processing. And within this section, we have created a UI5 integration card. This integration card is of type list. It has a search filter and a select filter on it, and it has a numeric header. So this is what we have until now. And in case any of these steps is not clear to you, please refer to the previous videos in this series. Now, the first thing to understand is that the image header that you see that we want to create at the top of our business site, this is actually nothing but a UI integration card. And the topic of a UI integration card is familiar to us. We have already created a UI integration card of type list. But for the image header, the integration card that we are going to create has a different type. This time we'll be creating a card of type object. So let's shift our attention now to the Business Application Studio. And this time we will be using the template wizard to generate our project folder. So trigger up the wizard and then search for the UI integration card. Let's click on start. Let's put in a project name, and this time we'll call it as page header. The namespace that you give should be the same namespace that you had used for the content package. So let's name that here. And under select a card sample, we have different options that we can take, but for now, let's take as empty card. Let's put in a title as image page header. And then let's put in a subtitle as well. We can adjust this later on. So once the project has been set up, the skeleton project has been set up, you can of course always open up the preview and keep that open here on the right side. And for the moment, of course, it's empty. So let's click on the manifest.json. We know that the manifest.json is really the heart of your UI5 integration card. So we can see that the type of the card has been set to list as default. We are going to change this to object. In the last video, we had seen that all content in a UI5 integration card is added under the content attribute. And the content is an attribute under the sap.card namespace. So let's go ahead and add in that particular attribute. Now, when we define the content of an object card, we have the possibility to define something which is called as the groups. Now, the groups is something that does not exist in the UI integration card of type list. Okay, so it is specific to the card of type object. And the group is basically a collection of items. So you can classify your complete content of the object card within groups, and each group can have different types of data. So within an object card, you can have multiple groups, and then within each group, you can have multiple items. So that's the overall structure of an object card. Now, since there can be more than one group, this is going to be an array. And let's go ahead and define in the first group. The first property that we are going to set at the group level is what is called as the alignment. Now, this controls how the items of a particular group appear within the overall object card. And our first item within this first group is going to be the image that we want to see, and we want it to have stretched out. So I set the value of the property alignment as stretch. Now let's go ahead and define in the items in this particular group. And as we had said, there can be more than one item in this particular group. So therefore we use the square brackets. And let's now set up the first item. This is going to be my image. So I'm going to specify some properties for this particular item. The first property that we need to specify is, of course, the type. And this is of type image. The image that is going to be displayed is not known to the application. So let's go ahead and upload that. So for that, under the root folder, I'm going to create a new folder called as images. And then within this folder, I'll upload the file that I want to use as part of the page header. So this is the image that I'm going to use. Let's go back to a manifest. And this time I'll specify the source that is to be used for this particular item. And that is going to be with respect to the root where the current folder is present. Let's specify the complete path of the file, which is the images folder, and then the name of the image file, which is panorama.jpg. And as soon as you have specified this, then you can already see the image appearing in your object card. Let's specify a height for this, and we set it as 200 pixels. And then we put in an attribute called as the image position. And through this, we inform it that it has to be centered. So these are the specifications that we need for the image itself. Now, the next thing that we are going to detail out further is the text overlay. Now, the text overlay is a text that's going to appear on top of the image. So the first attribute for the text overlay that we are going to specify is called as the super title. And let's put that in and just call it, this is the super title for now. Then we put in what is called as the title. And finally, we put in the subtitle. So let us now go ahead and specify the attribute text color and set its value to, using the hex code, we'll set it to red. Next, we are going to position the text vertically within the image itself. And for that, we have the attribute called as the vertical position. And we are going to set its value to center. So this will then position the text vertically within the image. Finally, the last thing that we'll add in is some animation, and we will use the fade in value. So this is how the image is going to look like with the text overlay in place. So now that we have this set up, I'm going to show you something interesting. Right now I have a subtitle over here, and this subtitle has been hard coded. I am going to replace this with a daily quote. Now what happens is when the user logs into the business site every day, he sees this at the top of his page, and it would be nice to show him like an inspiring quote over here that changes every day. So for that, I'm going to be using a publicly available API, and this is the URL of the API. And this API, it returns a quote every time you send a GET request to it, and it's a different quote every day, every time. So I'm going to incorporate this within my card. And the way that we're going to achieve it is by setting up a data request to this particular API. So within the sap.card namespace, I'm going to set up something called as a data. And then within this, there's going to be a request, the URL for the request, and the results are available in the root. So therefore, we don't need to specify a path. Let's put in the comma. So that sets up the data request. Now, one thing you will notice here is that we have not used destination. And in the earlier data requests that we were defining, we were always creating a destination separately and doing it. But this is another way in which you can access an API without actually defining a destination. All you need to do is specify the complete URL and then the path where the response is going to be available. And now let's look at subtitle. Right now, let's replace the subtitle. Let's take off this hard-coded text, and we want the attribute called as quote from the data request response. So now if you see, you will be getting a separate quote every time this data request is executed. So this is a nice little thing that you can add into your image header on your business site. So now that we have improved our subtitle, let's bring our attention to the super title. And super title is something that appears right above the main title. And at the moment, this is hard coded. And I'm going to replace this. I want that the current date and time is always displayed as part of the super title. So the way to do that, this is going to be a bounded value. So let's put in the curly braces and the is equal to sign. And now I'm going to use something called as a formatter. The UI5 framework offers us what are called as formatter functions, and they help you to format different entities such as the date, time, currency, such things. All right. And I'm going to use the date time formatter. We say format, and then the name of the formatter. Since this is the date and time formatter, I will say date time. And this formatter takes in three parameters, but the parameter that we need is basically the date. So the way to specify the argument is I want always the current date to be formatted. So therefore, the function that returns the current date and time is called as date now. So basically what is happening here is that the current date and time is being sent as an argument to this particular formatter, and it gets formatted, and that particular value is then bound to this particular attribute called as super title. And as you can see, this is how the date and time, current date and time would appear as part of the title on the image overlay. So that's it. This is how my object card is going to look like, and this is now ready in the preview. The next thing that we have to concern ourselves with is how to deploy this into the business worksite. And we had seen in the earlier video that when you want to deploy a UI5 integration card into your business site, you're going to need a content package. And in the last video, we had created a content package called as INVCP. This had taken in the card, the invoices list card that we had prepared earlier. So this is the project for the invoices list card. And this list card was packed into the invoices content package. And now I'm going to pack in the object card that I just created, the page header, also into the same content package. Now, if you have a look at the project structure of the content package, under that we had a file called as content.json, and this file basically describes the content that is present within this content package. And at the moment we have a role which is called as senior reviewer, and we have an app which is the list card called as invoice. So under the demo folder at the moment I have a folder called as source, and within this source I have two files called as the manifest.json. Now this is the manifest.json for the list card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder under demo called as page header source. And within this page header source, I'm going to create a new file called as manifest.json. And this manifest.json is going to contain the source code of the object card that we had just created. So let's find that. Under the page header project, we have the source code for the object card. So let's copy this and paste it within the content package. You will also need the internationalization I-18 folder. So let's copy it and paste it within the page header source. So at the end of all this, this is how our demo folder within the content package is going to look like. It will have two subfolders. One is the source. This is where the old list card is present. And we have the manifest.json for the old list card. And we have the role.json where the role has been defined. And we have a new folder called as page header source, which also contains a manifest.json, but for a different application. It's for the object card that we had just created. The next thing, if we have a look at this role definition, we can see that the role has been set up, the senior reviewer role. And to this role, we had assigned in one app, which was the last invoice list card app. We'll go ahead and put in the new app that we have just created, its ID. We'll have to mention the fully qualified name, including the namespace, which is going to be pageheader.app. So that's it for the demo folder. The last thing that remains to be done is that let's have a look at the content.json file. And in the content, as we mentioned earlier, we have the list of contents that this particular content package is offering. Now, in addition to this role and this particular app, there's one more entity that is being offered, and that is the object card. So let's go ahead and specify that in. Let's call it page header. And now let's specify the source code where this page header application is available. Let's put in the from attribute, which is going to be the same. It's present in the demo root folder, but it's not going to be source. This time it's going to be page header source because that's where we have specified it. So it's not this one source, it's the page header source. Then we put in the path, we specify the build and then the package. Finally, we specify the location of the manifest for this particular app. So that's all there is to be done. Now the content package contains not just the role definition and the old list card. Now there's also the object card that we have just defined. So now right click on the manifest.json of the content package and then look for the option of content package. So this will build up the package.zip folder. Well, actually it will rebuild it because there was one earlier already. But since we included a new application, we need to rebuild it. So as we can see in this log over here that the build process had failed because the artifact type is unknown. And the reason this is happening is because the app that I've just added, I forgot to specify in the type, and the type in this case, it's going to be a card. So let's try the build process again now. So when the build has run to conclusion, you will have a new zipped folder called as package. Let's download this to our desktop. Now let's shift our attention to the build work zone and go to the channel manager. And here you can see the content package that we had uploaded earlier. And now we don't want to create a new content package. Instead, we want to upload this again. So we are going to use the update content button. So let's click on that button. Select the zip folder that you had just downloaded from the application studio. In my case, it was the file package 7, and then click on update. So you let the update process run. So when the update process has completed, let's just click on report quickly. And here you can see an overview of the update process that just ran. You can see that there has been one role that was there, and now there are two apps that are present as part of this particular content package. So now our object card is present in our content. Now let's go ahead and include it into our business site. So for that, let's go to the content manager. Now I want my new object card to appear over here right at the top of the data management. So let's locate this particular page in the content manager. Let's go in the edit mode and add a new section at the top. You don't need to give it a title. And let's click on add widget and choose cards. And now you can see the object card that you have just uploaded, which was called as image page header. Let's select it and click on save. Now let's re-upload our business site. You will see your object card appearing at the top like this. And you can of course see the title, the super title, and the subtitles that we have set up for this particular object card. Now this is a good addition that you can make to your business site to make it more appealing for your business users. So I hope now the process of adding an image header to the top of your business site by creating an object card is clear to you. It basically involves defining an object card, just like any other UI5 integration card. You can use the wizard for this. The next step would be to define the groups as part of the content in your object card. And the first item in the group is going to be the image. The third step would be to adjust the text overlay on the card if needed. So basically the title, the subtitle, and the super title. And here again, you can be creative and include useful information such as the date and time and any other messages that you would like to give out. The fourth step would be to package this card into a content package and deploy this particular content package in your content manager. Once it's available in the content manager, you can go ahead and add it in the relevant space on your business site. If you found the content of this video useful, please do consider subscribing to the channel or dropping a like for this video. So that's all for this video. In the next video, we'll continue to look at the SAP Build Work Zone in further detail. So until then, take care and goodbye.